Matthew chapter 14, verse 30. But when he saw the wind, he was afraid, and beginning to sink, he cried out, "Lord, save me." I can relate to Peter. Many criticize him for his moment of denial, which was crucial in his life. However, the trajectory of this disciple, who would become a pastor, was remarkable. He was an impulsive man, always willing to act, hasty in his actions and words, but with a moldable heart, always recognizing his smallness before Christ. The episode in the verse at the beginning of this devotional is one of my favorites. Peter went towards the Master without relying on logic. Walking on water made no sense, but if Jesus was doing it, he wanted to do it too. He didn't think twice about getting out of the boat. What happens next is what I call anxiety. My pastor used to say that anxiety is synonymous with a divided mind, living in the present with your eyes and heart in the future. At first, Peter was doing well, performing a feat that no other human being has ever repeated. But when he felt the force of the wind, his mind projected itself into the future. Instead of thinking, "My Christ is with me, no matter how strong the wind is," his wavering heart worried about falling and drowning. Can you find the moment of error? He took his eyes off Jesus. And when we change our focus, our steps also change direction. It is at this moment that faith enters into crisis. We know that God is with us, but we waver in our practical response. We believe that God is in control of everything, but we cannot trust that He is able to meet our urgent needs. And then we begin to sink. We sink into fear, despair, resentment, discouragement. We sink into thoughts, feelings, and actions. And as our hearts still struggle against sin, instead of clinging to the cross, we look at Christ with indignation. How can He be capable of letting me sink? Our challenge for today is to declare to our soul, "Be quiet, calm down. God is taking care of it. He is still on the throne, sovereign, perfect, and full of all love. Trust, do not waver." At this point in the journey, I believe it is appropriate to say that anxiety is more than a feeling, but rather the externalization of a greater problem related to our faith. As a feeling, it can be fleeting and influenced by common life situations. However, when it becomes recurrent, it ceases to be a feeling and becomes a parasite in our lives. And we, as hosts of this evil, feel imprisoned, without control over our attitudes and reactions. Do you see why Christ's response, calling Peter a man of little faith, is so accurate? Living with Him is living by faith. There are no shortcuts or second chances. We either trust or we sink. The only solution to get out of this limbo is to repeat Peter's words, "Save me, Lord." And as soon as He reaches out His hand, we must grasp it with all our strength and remain so until the end. Christ is not a lifeboat that takes us back to solid ground. He Himself is the solid ground. That is why it makes no sense to seek Him only when we are sinking, and then to say, "Okay, thank you, from now on I can go alone," like a child learning to ride a bicycle without training wheels. The Christian life is more serious than that. It requires spiritual maturity. Until we face this reality, we will continue to be dominated by our anxious and divided mind.